Well, very interesting stuff going on in the world, huh? I would say that it might even be beyond interesting. It might be historic. Yeah, I said it, historic. Ah, let's bring that down just a bit, shall we? There we go. Now I'm about the same level with both cameras, so that's a good thing. Um, Somebody's already on here. Sweet. Thank you. Appreciate that. Uh, by the way, for those of you who are on here, shame on you. You know better. You should be on YouTube by now. I know. You're saying, but TikTok is so neato. And I like TikTok. And TikTok's so honest and they don't censor anybody. And so that's why I go to TikTok. Except for Charles, who just jumped over to YouTube. Good evening. John Allen, good evening. Howdy. All right. So remember, YouTube beats TikTok in taste tests 92.6% of the time. That statistic, like most statistics, are made up 78% of the time on the spot. So we're clear. Pablo, you're excused. All right. Hey, let's talk about something fun, like the fact that we don't have a country anymore. That's fun. And by the way, when I say things like we don't have a country anymore, I don't mean that in the sort of whiny sort of liberal way. No, my country. What I'm saying is, look, after COVID, when the people on the right realized that we were being lied to about the vax, and that now there are several very prominent studies that show that the vax may have actually killed allegedly more people than the COVID virus. And the accidental Swedish study that was done by sperm banks in Sweden, not on purpose, showed that the men who got vaccinated lost their what we call sperm motility, or their ability to get a woman pregnant, by 85%. All of them, 85% on average. That's absolutely huge. That is basically chemical castration, guys. That's sterility. If you literally lose 85% of your ability to have a baby, what do you call that? So, and by the way, you're just thinking, well, okay, but what about the study done in the US? There wasn't one. But what about the study done in England? No. France, no. No country. Germany, no. No country has actually done a study to see if the vaccine made you sterile. Now, what happened in Sweden was it was just an accident. They tracked the guys who came in to sperm banks, usually young, obviously virile men because they were regular donors, and they realized that they had this huge disparate outcome, that all of a sudden some of them lost basically all of their sperm and others didn't. And when they started tracking it, they found out that the guys who went sterile were the guys who took the vaccine. Huh. Well, now, allegedly, Pfizer knows that that's got to be the case because they would do a study on this, right? I mean, it's not like they would. Oh, well, look at that. They stopped animal tests as the third generation of mice were all sterile. Well, okay. Now, Thompson, I would say, oh, you're full of shit, man. You just made that up. But the reality is, the, we're in a we're living. We've gone through the looking glass, folks. We're down the rabbit hole so fucking far that what's real? I mean, by the way, that's why I'm in this business, because this is real. This is actually money. Look, these things, these little guys right here, these, and yeah, I've got some old dirty Morgans. These are my dirty old Morgans. See? These Morgans, there's 19 of them. I carry one in my pocket for good luck. Now, is that a thing? Not really. I just made it up. One day I was thinking, nobody can ever call me broke if I've got at least one of these in my pocket. So I started carrying a peace dollar and a Morgan. And the reason I did was because I like peace dollars and I like Morgans. And I thought, what the hell? I was carrying one of each in my pocket all the time. Because, obviously you can be called a vagrant if you don't have at least a certain amount of cash on you. Well, I mean, hell, now that's $200. I carry on me all the time. It's just a good idea. But my point is that's real. Okay. When the government tells me this is what we're going to do, at some point you have to suspend your belief. You have to. I mean, in Hollywood, I grew up there. You go along with a certain group of people in a movie, in a plot, in a story, because you like them. And if you like them enough, I'll give you a perfect example. The one time that it really hit me was the movie Thor. That was, 14 years ago. I go in, I have no idea what this movie's going to be like. And I start watching it, and there's this Asgard place. It's a fucking place in the sky in the middle of the universe. It's in outer space, but it's got an atmosphere or whatever. I don't know. But I was like, all right, this is a little odd. This is a little bit too much like a movie that should have its soundtrack done by Queen. Like, this is a little off. But then as the movie went along, I kind of liked the guy. And I was like, all right, you know what? I'll suspend my disbelief. And I actually consciously thought that. Normally, you subconsciously think that. You like the guy or the gal. And you go, all right, I'm rooting for him. Yeah, it's implausible, but it's possible. I mean, unless it's a Disney movie where every superhero has to be a black woman who is a lesbian and a girl boss. Oh my God, I'm so tired of that. And look, it's not because she's black. It's because I'm just saturated now. I know that 12% of the population is African American in terms of their DNA. So to see every single television commercial that has got 99% black people, except for that one white guy who's always the asshole, who never does anything, who's always making the big mistake or always saying something irrelevant and stupid. I'm just tired of it. Look, I get it. Whatever, you're mad. Okay, be mad, but just shut up. Okay, whatever. Anyway, I'm sorry, Bobby. I'm sorry that you haven't seen me. But I'm back. Now, I'm not back on TikTok. I mean, I'm on TikTok now until they kick me off again. And I'm moving over more and more and more to YouTube, because YouTube lets me say things. Like, I can use the R word on myself. I can say that I am that R word sometimes, and they don't kick me off for that. TikTok will. TikTok will kick me off for virtually anything. And I say virtually anything. So here's my point. The lefties got sucked in to COVID, and they bought it, and they thought it was real. And a lot of the righties, a lot of the MAGA folks were like, "Nah, I ain't taking that. That's a mark of the beast," or whatever dumb shit that was. But that was all dumb shit. You had a bunch of people that flew face first into the wall, thinking that, well, you've just got to trust your government because it's your government and your government doesn't lie. I mean, why would they lie to you? They're Democrats. Democrats never lied to anybody ever, right? So then all of a sudden, along comes Epstein. And now all of the smug, better than now, holy roller MAGA people are like, ha, yeah, that's right. Epstein, Clinton, Epstein. No, not Trump. No, 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 not Trump. No, he didn't work for Israel. Okay, wait, let's not talk about Israel. Look, we can't talk about that. We're not going to talk about that. We're not talking about Israel. We have to love Israel. Israel does everything for us, and we don't do a fucking thing for them, okay? And then all of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute, hold on, guys, all of you, take a deep breath, shut the fuck up for a second with your little, yeah, my side, yeah, my side, my side. It's both sides are literally picking up the same bar of soap with the same government standing behind them, helping. Okay? COVID was a plandemic. I am absolutely certain of that. Now, that's just my opinion. Tic Tac, so don't kick me off yet. I've been on for 8 minutes. My point is this. I decided that I didn't want to hear anything from the Democrats for, say, I don't know, 12 years after I watched them stomp the shit out of civil rights. I did not get vaxxed. I was an outlier. I was told by Fauci that I was going to have my income destroyed, and then we'll see about your fucking moral high ground, pal. Okay, well, guess what? I made a living. And now I look at all of the harm caused by that really, really untested vaccine, and I see that allegedly several studies now are showing that a huge amount of people died from it. Myocarditis, blood clots, you name it. I mean, just it. They read the list the other day on a documentary, and I was just like, these are doctors, these are cardiologists, these are neurologists, these are people who deal with vaccines for a living. Virologists, and I'm watching them saying, this is the worst thing that we've ever given human beings. And it's like, holy shit. I am so glad that I didn't give that. See, look at that. My Tic Tac just flagged me for misinformation. This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm saying to you. There's no debate anymore. There's no open forum in this country. Now, I will say this. TikTok's the worst in the world now. They are just like the English government, except they can't prosecute me for something yet, but they're working on it. YouTube's a little better, but here's my point. If you want to reach out and get as many people as possible, you got to be on social media. But social media is controlled by a very, very small group of people in the Middle East. And they don't want us talking about this. They don't want us talking about Epstein. But how can I not? How can I not talk about the fact that my government has straight up betrayed me? Straight up betrayed me. Why do I have to follow fucking laws? Why do I have to follow laws? They don't follow the law. If a man with $1 million doesn't follow the law, Why does a guy that's just a little less than that have to follow the law? Where's the line? Where's the cutoff? Because I want to know. Because look, I can work my ass off and I can go from millionaire to multimillionaire. Billionaire is going to be a bit of a stretch for me at this age. But here's the question. Where's the cutoff? At what point do I get to ignore laws? And I'm not talking about speeding, okay? I'm not talking about a speeding ticket. I'm not talking about turning left on a red light where it's indicated that you're not allowed to turn left. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about rolling into a crosswalk on a red light a little bit and okay, there was a cop sitting right there and he's like, look, this guy walking across the crosswalk. You're impeding his ability to walk through the crosswalk. I'm going to have to write your ticket. No. I'm talking about hurting the most important people among us, the little ones, the ones that Jesus said were the ones that you could not under any circumstances hurt. Now I get it. I heard with my own ears, you fuckers. So don't try to molest me over this. I heard Netanyahu call them Amalekites. And if you know your Bible, and I'm learning a lot more about it, God told the Jews to wipe the Amalekites off the face of the planet. Men, women, children, the elderly, their animals, everything. God, according to the Jewish version of the Bible, ordered genocide. And so did Netanyahu. He said, we're going to treat them like Amalekites. That is a direct reference. If I said, and I would never say this, tic tac, but if I said, well, just call me Hitler and I'm going to treat them like Jews. Ha ha ha. Is that funny to anybody? It's not funny because what I just said was, I'm going to commit genocide. That's what I just said. I'm referring to the Holocaust. Well, guess what? In the Bible, there's a Holocaust. Actually, there's more than one, but there's definitely one. And by the way, are there any in the New Testament? My book. Now, I know, look, I've got lots of Jewish friends, and they're about as Jewish as this cup of coffee is an elephant. They're not. They're Jewish in name only. Jewish in name Ginos. That's just that's right on the bubble there. We probably don't want to go there. But my point is this. They're Reformed. Somebody who is ultra Orthodox would not even consider them Jewish. Literally, I'm not joking. They would say to them, you think you're a Jew, you are not. You're Reformed, you're nothing. That's just, I don't know that they would go so far as to call them Goyim, because that's for people who have the soul of a cow, like me. But they don't believe that they're truly Jewish, because to be ultra Orthodox is to be anti-Zionist. Now I know you're thinking, wait, ultra Orthodox? No, they are Zionists. No. They're Zionists, and then there are ultra Orthodox Jews who believe that the entire world belongs to them. Why draw a line around a piece of real estate when God has given them the entire thing? That's what they believe. So they believe Zionists are sellouts. They believe Zionists are just sissies. It's like, oh, you're going to settle for this little bit of the Middle East? No, the world's ours. The world is ours. Argentina, go set it on fire and let's buy it. Well, you didn't think I was watching that? We should all be watching that. My point is that everything's theirs. And the people who populate these areas, and this is just what the Talmud says, I'm not making this shit up, tic tac, with your censorship. The Talmud says that to have dinner with me is worse than eating with a dog, because a dog, I believe they think that a dog has a soul. And as a goyim, I don't have one. That is so crazy, right? Am I right? And so here's what I say to them. The first part of the Bible, your book, it's full of genocide and sex with neighbors and relatives and people pretending to be your sister when they're actually your wife and all kinds of weirdness. And in Leviticus, it says that if you're my wife, you can jump into a fist fight with me and beat the crap out of the guy. But if you touch his genitals, then I have to kill you. I'm not making that up. I wish I were. That's the Old Testament, not our book. And then this guy comes along. We'll call him the big Jeezy J. And he comes along and he says, whoa, slow down, guys. No, that's Synagogue of Satan. This is what you need to do. And he gives one commandment. That's it. There's only one. If you're Christian, just so you know, you should follow all of them. But there's only one that he gave. And when I say he, our guy, he said, love thy neighbor. And by the way, just so you know, this is a very, very old Bible, clearly. This has been in my family for many, many years. And when I say many, I mean, oh, Olivia, you are so sad. To say something like that to somebody you don't know means that you have a mind virus. Let's see. I'm going to read you something in this 150-year-old Bible. And when I read it, I want you to understand that it's not in your Bible. It's not in your Bible, but it's in mine. All right, come on. All right, here we go. Wow. 1894. Woo, baby. Okay, so by the way, I just wanted to, I want to make sure I get this to you. The thoughts on Tucker Huckabee. Huckabee is clearly a Satanist. He's clearly a false teacher. He's clearly exactly what America suffers from the most. Do as I say, not as I do. Christians should all be rich because riches prove that God loves you, which is absolutely nothing like what Christ taught. But let's jump into this. Let's go to Matthew 17. Okay, here we go. Matthew 17. You guys can follow along with me. Chapter 17, verse 21. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a NIV or King James Bible that was published in the last 100 years? You don't have Matthew 17, 21. What? You don't have Matthew 17, 21? Right here? No, you don't. Why don't you go grab your Bible and take a look at it? Because I think you'll be kind of shocked to see that you don't have it. That's so strange. Huh. Well, what is it about? It says that it says, howbeit this kind goeth not out, but by prayer and fasting. Prayer and fasting. So he's recommending in this sentence, this one sentence that was taken out. This is red letter, by the way. I mean, this one's not red letter because it was before they had to do that. It's in yours. Awesome. King James. Bobby, how old is that Bible? Because I've seen in many, many Bibles, including one I just bought recently. 10 years ago, it wasn't in there. And mine was a King James. And it wasn't in there. It just said 21, and then in parentheses there was an A, but no footnote in the back about what it said. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that strange? Well, now what's Jesus saying though? Is it even important? Yeah. Yeah, what he's saying is if you want to heal yourself, you heal yourself through prayer and fasting. Whoa. That's weird. Most of you are just gambling addicts. That's an odd way to jump into a conversation, isn't it? Just insult everybody. Well, I'm not insulted because I don't gamble except on birth control, and I have 5 kids. So I'm not exactly a gambling addict, but I'm a guy who doesn't go to Vegas. Let's just put it that way. So I'm just curious. Why did they take out prayer and fasting? Now, with all of the new age, super high tech, cutting edge, nutritionalist shit that I watch. Now, of course, I don't participate in all of it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a face that looks like a fucking watermelon, would I? I'm a little chubby. That's okay. I can live with that. But I do fast sometimes, and every once in a while I get a wild hair at my ass, and I lose a bunch of weight. I keep it off for 6 months or a year, and slowly I go back up, and then I go back down again. It is what it is. Yeah, his tune will change when the banks implement buy-ins. Yeah, those buy-ins, they're coming, baby. But here's my point. Okay, this is something that's super important to you guys because this is where I'm going with all of this. Because it's like, okay, well, why are you bringing up all this negativity? Like we all hear this shit all the time. Don't fucking Charlie Kirk us. And I don't mean that like, to the neck. I mean, just don't like heap negative shit on us because like, yeah, Charlie Kirk's gone. What the fuck can we do? We don't know who did it. Tyler Robinson clearly didn't, but we don't know who did. And it's a big clusterfuck. So whatever, man, let it slide. Okay. Here's the reason that I'm bringing up the negativity. Because when you lump it all together, and then you lump in on top of that what I know about the economy, now is the time to get ready. Because it's over whether you realize it or not. And when I say it, pick something. The job market, gone, over, done. AI is going to take 90% of your jobs probably in the next 18 months. If you don't have money saved up, you're already done and you don't know it yet. So this whole, I'm just going to go out and have a good time, put on a credit card. Fuck it. If the world collapses, I'm just going to go bankrupt. No, you're not going to go bankrupt. You're going to lose everything and you're going to be out on the street, at which point you can decide whether or not you want to go into shutdown mode and just allow yourself to starve to death or just turn your face to the wall, which is what they called it in World War II, when POWs would just turn away from the other POWs. They would just go sit in the corner, they'd pull a blanket over their head, they wouldn't talk to anybody, and within 3 or 4 days, they'd pass away. Even though they were perfectly healthy and they weren't starving, they would just give up. And when your mind sees no way out, your body says, okay, let's get together with all of our faculties and come up with a nice orderly shutdown process. It's called psychogenic death. And it is absolutely as real as being shot with a sniper rifle. When you go into psychogenic death, that's it. There's no coming back. You actually get to a point before you pass where you don't react to any stimulation. That means somebody could electrocute you, could burn you with a cigarette. You wouldn't do anything because you're already gone. You just haven't shut off yet. That will happen to a lot of people in the United States. They will, and by the way, not on accident. This is absolutely by design. This is absolutely by design. This whole thing about feminizing men, making men soft and sad and crybabies and hopeless, and the whole incel movement. This is exactly what the enemy wants. Now, pick your enemy. I don't care who you say is the enemy. They're all the same. Whether you say that, whether you say it's Satan, whether you say it's Israel, whether you say it's Brazil, doesn't matter who you think our enemy is. Somebody is dividing us. Now, I think Lincoln was pretty sharp cat. By the way, hell of a wrestler. I think he only lost 1 or 2 matches in his entire life. And he was a professional wrestler, not like WWE silly shit, like real wrestling, like Greco-Roman. So, but also a very sharp cat. I believe he suffered from depression like a lot of very bright people do. But he said, a house divided cannot stand. And he didn't say that in a void. He said that in the context of this country. You can't fuck with us. You can't hurt us from the outside. You can try, but the only thing that you'll accomplish by attacking us is to turn us into a diamond. That's how hard this country will get overnight. And we will fuck you up. I don't care who it is. You can say, well, what if China and Russia and India all got together? Yep, we'd smash them. Because the United States of America has this unique thing about it. When you attack us, we stop fucking around and we do the one thing that the United States of America does better than anybody in history. We kill people. We are the best ever. We are the heavyweight champions at slaughtering human beings. We've done it in every continent and we are good, except Antarctica. We haven't. Look, put some people down there and give us a shot. We'll take care of it. But my point is this. When we're divided, when somebody can't prove what a woman is, when blacks and whites can't be in the same neighborhood, when we don't even speak the same language anymore, because hip hop culture has become so insanely violent and purposefully ignorant and completely and totally devoid of any principles whatsoever. What do you do? What do you do? I mean, I be honest with you. I am really, really glad that I'm not black. And the reason I say that is not because, oh, well, if you're black, you can't get a job. Bullshit. You can get a job easier now because you're black. You can get a job easier if you're good looking and black. So if I had this same, like this, let's just say the same level. Let's call me a really like super high 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. If I were a super high 5 and black, well, and now here's the thing. If I had exactly the same intelligence, the same exact IQ, the same exact ability to represent my thoughts through my vocabulary, I'd be the fucking CEO of something right now. Because the entire corporate world felt like shit at the end of the 60s and said, all right, you know what? We could do better than this. Yeah, we could do better than this. By the way, back when the number one black man name in the United States was Philip. Yeah, read that resume. Tell me what color the guy is. Shantan Kwan La Kwan Kwan Kwan. I don't know what the fuck that is. But it's not French, Mom. Before you do that, it's not French. We all know that it's not French. So quit. It's that is a death sentence in the corporate world. So, look, if I read a resume And the number one thing on there is, hey, I wrote rap music. Yeah, oh, I'm definitely hiring you for IT. If you went to Rutgers and and played lacrosse, I don't give a fuck if he is blacker than the ace of spades. He's probably a pretty sharp cat because Rutgers ain't no joke. And even if you go there on a scholarship, you don't get to be stupid. Now, I did have a friend who was black who played football at USC. Now, and we always joked about being Eminem because his name was Marvin, my name is Martin, and he was the same size I am, except a little beefier even. He, when I was weighing 280, he was weighing about 325. So, and he's about an inch shorter than me, but we basically the same. I could wear his jacket. That's really weird. So I asked him once because he was intelligent but incredibly ignorant. Like his education sucked, and he was in his third or fourth year at USC. Yeah, yeah, University of Southern California, a private school for very wealthy kids. We called it the University of Spoiled Children. He was paid in 1989. He was paid $25 an hour to make sure that all of the sprinkler systems were operational on all the grass fields around the campus. They were all automated. See where I'm going with this? So he would sit in the stands so he could watch with his tutor who did his homework because he was a football player. Now, you can get away with that if you're a football player and you go to USC. You can't get away with that if you're playing, if you're playing something at Rutgers or something. Your hair went French. That's funny. Yeah, that's a French braid. It's just a very small French braid. Actually, it's getting long enough that I can actually comb it now. So I decided to comb it. Yeah, pretty crazy, right? Bottom line is this. I don't care. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what your background is. I really don't care. You're either going to jump in and row in the same direction as the rest of us, or you're not. At this point, I see that there are people that are very powerful, the Epsteins, and if you think that your representative in Congress or in the Senate is better somehow, and trust me, I do. I think that. I actually do think that. I mean, I'm one of these people that I'm warning you not to be. Now, I was never invited to the island. I guess I just didn't have enough money to be able to legally break the law. But here's my point. I think David Schweikert is a pretty good guy. I've talked to him for quite a while. He's my rep here, and I like the guy. I mean, maybe he's full of shit and maybe he schmoozed me, but I didn't feel like that. I felt like he was genuine, and he didn't need to talk to me for hours at a time, but he did. And I was talking to him about, I wasn't saying, hey, listen, David, I represent the such and such lobby, and I've got hundreds of millions of dollars at my disposal. I was telling him, look, former Marine, and I love my country, and I just wish we had something to define ourselves as. And when I said that, he actually laughed. He said, I know exactly where you're going to go with this. And I said, you do? And he said, yeah, we define ourselves now by what we're against. I was like, oh shit, this guy is sharp. I said, yes, that's exactly right. You can't define yourself by what you're not. That's not, literally by definition, that's not a fucking definition. Well, what do you stand for? Well, let me tell you what I don't like. Okay, but what do you stand for? There are some things that I absolutely won't tolerate. Okay, am I supposed to guess what you stand for? I am against terrorism. Oh, well, shit, that makes you really unusual because the rest of the world loves that shit. I mean, they put it in their coffee in the morning. Fucking imbeciles. Of course, everybody's against terrorism. What are you for? Well, we're for, I don't know. What are we for, guys? I can't believe it, but they actually, there we go. Well, Chew, I appreciate that. I'm too intelligent for the island, but apparently I'm not because, if you read any of the Epstein stuff, it's the goyim like me who are stupid, who are supposed to live in the real world and do the real world work, while people like him, and this is not tic tac, slow the fuck down with your censorship algorithm, little fucking Nazis. He said, let the goyim deal in the real world. That the Jew will make money on things like shipping futures. Okay, that's what he said. He was absolutely obsessed with IQ. Okay, so clearly only the smartest people could go to the island. And when I say only the smartest people, I did read an article about 15 years ago, which I remember like it was yesterday, because, yeah, I'm kind of a genius. And it talked about the fact that for the first time they had established a link between extremely high IQ and mental illness. I was like, there you go. All right. I get it. I totally get it. Now, I knew they weren't referring to me. Well, yes and no. IQ is not just memory. Because being able to remember something means that 3 weeks from now, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll go, oh shit, that's right. It's the mustard in Korea that is so fucking hot that if you put it on a hot dog and then smart off to the hot dog vendor about hot doesn't bother you, he won't mention it to you until after you take a huge bite. Not that happened to me when I was in the Marine Corps, because clearly you'd have to be an arrogant son of a bitch to do that. And Marines are known for their piety, and number one. But number two, because we are breaking up. Davis, how can I be breaking up? We're not even going out. Like, we don't even have a commitment. What's that about? Jesus Christ, I'm getting dumped. That's sad. That hurts me. I just want you to know that hurts me. You're not breaking up. I'm not. You know Davis? Is Davis just fucking with me? We're not really breaking up? I need to know. Because I got people on YouTube. There's got to be a girl on YouTube that is desperate, 50, getting a little extra padding, thinking this is it. I'm never going to find the right guy. And then there I am in all my glory. I didn't want to laugh at that, but damn, even I have limits. I am not breaking up. Davis, you're stuck with me. That's just the way it's going to be. Free speech. Who the fuck wrote that? Somebody on YouTube wrote free speech. Why? Why would you write that? Are you out of your mind? Okay, so here's the deal, guys. Look, we've got a couple options. I mean, it's not like we're out of options. Loves French hair. Woo! I almost went the wrong way because I don't normally part it, so I forgot what side I parted on. So I'm in the dentist chair, the barber's chair, and the guy says to me, "What side do you part it on?" And I said, "I don't know. I don't even normally part it." He goes, "Well, parting it on one side or the other is it's important." I said, "It is," and he goes, "Yeah. Well, if you part it on one side, it means you're gay, and if you part it on the other side, it means you're straight." And I thought about it for a second. And then I decided, you know what? This is one of those moments where I'm going to stare at him like a fucking gorilla with rabies. And then he finally broke and laughed and said, I'm just kidding. You part on whatever side you want, man. I said, okay, I just wanted to make sure you were joking. I don't know if he was joking or not. He might have just gotten scared and lied to me. And this might mean that that's why Davis is breaking up with me. He or she, I don't even know if it's a girl or a guy, but whoever it is, they're like, I see what side that's parted on. By the way, just so we're clear, on YouTube, my hair's parted on the other side from Tic Tac. Tic Tac reverses everything and then censors it. YouTube, I love you guys because you're owned by Google. And Google's motto, corporate motto, no shit, look it up. Corporate motto is don't be evil. Oh, that's right. That was their motto. They changed it. I don't know what they changed it to. I read it and it was just some innocuous bullshit. But Google's original corporate logo said, don't be evil. And they changed it. They changed it. I didn't change it. I didn't tell them to change it. I actually didn't want them to change it. I thought that was the grooviest corporate logo I'd ever seen, except for the original Starbucks, where it was the entire mermaid all the way down to her, where they said you can't put that on a logo because that shows between her fins. I'm not making that up either. That you just can't, you can't make shit that stupid up, which is one of the reasons that worries me the most about Epstein. Because was he wrong? I mean, he was wrong about what he did to the innocents, horribly wrong about that. Was he wrong about what country's side he chose? Yeah, he was horribly wrong about that. Was he wrong about how stupid the average person is? Look what we fight over. Look what we argue about. We literally have a group of people sitting in Washington, D.C. right now, laughing at us. Those smug son of a bitches know they're not going to be prosecuted for anything. What? Okay. See this? If I stole this much silver, I'd go to jail. They can do all of that SA, grape, mutilation, torture, even murder. And they don't even get called in for questioning? Ever? And wait, but you want me to give you 50% of my money every year? You want me to give you 50% of my income? Income tax, state tax, sales tax, real estate. You just tax me and tax me and tax me and tax me and tax me. And then when I find out what you're doing to the most innocent human beings on planet Earth, you say, oh, hey, put your fucking head back down. Don't do that. Don't, nose to the grindstone, bro, or you're not ever going to be able to buy a house. Really? That's your attitude towards me? That's what you want? Well, I can tell you this. I don't know what you guys are going to do about it, but remember the business that I'm in? Remember this part? That's half. The other half of my business now, which will become all of my business very soon, is how to survive after the shit hits the fan. And I am literally writing a book for women. I am literally making a book just for single moms because it's going to be very different for them. Very different for them. But we're about to go through something that we've never gone through before. We're about to go through something that makes the Great Depression look silly. Because in the Great Depression, we all banded together. We were all one country. Right now, we can't even decide what a woman is. We can't decide anything. All we can do is fight with one another. All I have to do is put a little American flag right here, and I've alienated almost half of the country. All I have to do is put a little rainbow pin right here, and I've alienated almost half the country. Think about that. Think about that for a second. I have to be careful what I put up behind me. Because if I put the wrong thing on that wall, people will literally click on here. They'll look at my background and they'll go, oh, he's one of those, whatever those are. They will instantly make a judgment about me, not knowing anything about me. We have become the most prejudiced country on earth, with the exception of South Africa. They will always be able to kick our ass at that. No, actually, Johnny, you're wrong. It's extremely easy being me. It's tough being a lot of other people. And that's why I want to help them. It's not hard to be me. I am at the top of the food chain. My point is, I don't want to be. I don't want to be the guy who makes money easily and effortlessly all the time. I want everybody to survive this. Let me put it to you this way. What I want is very simple. I want the fucking country that they promised me. I want the fucking country that is in the Constitution. I want to wake up one fucking day of my life and realize that this day I have more rights and freedoms than I did yesterday. And that has never happened to me. In my entire life, I have never once woken up in this country and said, wow, I have more rights and freedoms. It has always gone downhill. I've always been taxed more. I've always been given less freedom. I've always been given less rights. I've always been fucking watched more. What is this? Is this what they talked about, the American dream? Is that what this is? Because I can tell you this, I got it way better than most people, and it still sucks. It fucking sucks. And it sucks even worse to watch other people not be able to keep up. And it's not because they're bad people. They're fucking awesome people, and they can't keep up. And I'm supposed to what? Just pretend like it doesn't matter and just enjoy my wealth, enjoy the freedoms that I have that a lot of people don't have? Think about this. Most people can't come up with $750 for an emergency. If you have children and you're in that position, you're so fucked it's unbelievable. Because you have to worry constantly about guys like Brian Thompson. God, please, I hope he's burning in hell. Brian Thompson of United Healthcare, the greedy, lying son of a bitch who stole $15 million from his own company before being shot in the back by somebody who was really, really at the end of his rope. Was it Luigi? Don't know. I never saw a picture of Luigi pull the trigger. I never saw the guy's face. They say it was Luigi. Was it Luigi? I don't know. Where's the trial? I will say this. Brian Thompson was an evil son of a bitch. United Healthcare denies more people than any other healthcare company. Their policy is to say no. So if your little girl has cancer, fuck you. If your son has cancer, fuck you. If you have cancer, well, do I have to say it out loud for the third time? No. Think about it, guys. Think about what I'm saying here. You pay them every single month for God only knows how many years. And the moment you need them, they say, what? Like, fuck, you didn't read the thing that we sent the update, you know? Look, commoner, if you're too fucking stupid to read all 800 pages before you sign, well, then kiss our ass. Think about it. That's what you paid all that money for? These are the same people, by the way. The Brian Thompsons of the world are the same people who cut in line. And when there's a long line to get onto the next freeway or get off at the next off-ramp, they whiz right up to the front and cut in. They turn on their signal right at the last second and cut everybody off. Because they're not going to wait in line like all you fucking stupid commoners. I just did this. I just went out to a festival and there was literally a 10-mile long line. And as I got up to the front of the line, over and over and over again, people would cut in front. And I thought, God, it must be nice to be that fucking special. Because I remember clearly when even in LA, people didn't do that. They had a sense of decency, of dignity. They wouldn't just cut in front. Look, we're taught in fucking kindergarten. No cuts. No cuts. I went to a big gala, right? This is invite only. All the rich people. I'm standing there with my daughter, looking around at the different restaurants who have come there to, you know, show off their wares for free. And this guy walks up to me and he goes, hey man, don't bother waiting in line. He just walks up. There's a huge line at this one restaurant. He just walks up, grabs something, walks away. Because he's special. He's special. He's better. And he knows it. This is the kind of thing that we can't have. We can't have this. But this is what is bred by all of this divisiveness and the fact that as a society, we're being told by somebody, I believe they're outsiders, but we're being told by somebody that principles are irrelevant. Personality is all that matters. Well, I don't think that's exactly how you run a country, except maybe into the ground. But the reason I'm telling you all of this is because, you know, I come on here all the time and I talk about the technicals and I talk about all the reasons that I'm going to stand up, all the reasons that you want to go ahead and jump into silver. The fundamentals are there. The technical analysis is there. Folks, enough with all that. Let's get to the bottom line. And the bottom line is this. We all feel it. We all know it's going to happen. So let's stop beating around the bush. This can't go on. This can't go on anymore. I'm going to shut my office door. I don't know if that was a janitor or what. We can't go on like this anymore. So if we can't go on like this, then what does that mean? Well, Johnny, which time? See, that's the thing. Everybody thinks that you start off poor and you get rich. That's absolutely not how it works. Unless your family's wealthy, whatever. My family wasn't. But my dad was just a lowly CIA agent who worked in MK Ultra. So, you make a lot of money in something. Mostly, I would say this. I would say that how you make it is by paying attention. That's really what it boils down to. I'll give you an example. I thought I'd want to be rich by being a stockbroker, but I hated stockbrokers. Lead can get 1 gold. I have no idea what the hell that means. But I hate stockbrokers. I hate the financial people. The people in finance are usually some of the worst human beings in the world, with the exception of prosecutors. Prosecutors pretty much fundamentally are prostitutes. They don't care if you're guilty of a crime. What they care about is that they get the highest conviction rate possible so that they can move up the ladder of worthless human beings in government. So I want to be a judge, or I want to be the district attorney of the state that I live in. How do I do that? Well, I get a 99% conviction rate. Well, how do I do that? I throw a huge amount of charges at a bunch of very poor guys and gals who can't afford an attorney. I get them a shit public defender, and then I tell them, look, you're going to jail for 50 years, minimum 50 years. But I'll tell you what, sign here. I'm in a good mood today. You're going to walk out of here in 6 months. Time served. Time served plus 6 months. Oh, well, okay. I mean, I didn't do anything wrong, but I guess it's better than doing 50 years over not doing anything wrong. Yeah, it really is. Okay. Oh, by the way, you're going to be on probation for the rest of your life. What the hell does that mean? Well, that means that we have you on an electronic leash for the rest of your life. And your life is no longer yours. It's now ours. But I didn't do anything wrong. I'm sorry. Who fucking gives a damn about that? No, you're gonna sign here. Trust me, not only have I seen it hundreds of times, but I've actually known prosecutors who bragged about it. Because what they want is they want that conviction rate. So look, if they drag your ass in there and they charge you with murder and they get you for torturing a cat, that's still a felony. They still won. And that's what they brag about. They brag about the fact that they got you. And that's all that matters. I've got a client right now who, and I won't tell you what state he lives in, but he hit a deer on his way home. He hit a deer. Well, how many fucking people have hit deers in their lives, especially in northern states? Hits a deer, manages to get his truck running, gets home, calls it in, and they arrest him. They arrested him for something about having to do with leaving the scene. This guy's, luckily for him, pretty affluent. He's done very technical construction for a very long time, so he could afford an attorney. But they charged him with a felony. They arrested this, and by the way, he's like 65 or 70 years old. They arrested him. They charged him with a felony. The prosecutor's like, "Yeah, man, you're going to prison." This guy's like, "Look, man, I worked for the same Fortune 500 company for 35 years. I run a huge construction site. I hit a deer. I wasn't drinking, no blood in my system, nothing." And they were like, "Yeah, but guess what? You didn't report it the minute that it happened." I think it might have had something to do with his cell phone being dead or something like that. So he went home and he called the police. That was that. So now he's fighting it. It's cost him, I believe, so far $10,000 in legal fees. $10,000. Now, I'm sure that insurance probably took care of his truck, thank God, unless it was Brian Thompson's insurance company. But my point is that why would a prosecutor not walk in the next morning and go, "Hey, Lieutenant so-and-so, you fucking putz. This guy's a really upstanding citizen in our community. He's lived in our community for 3.5 decades, and he's one of the highest earners. He does all these great things. He's involved in all of this church stuff. And by the way, he hit a fucking deer in a snowstorm at night." Nope, that's not what happened. The prosecutor said, "Well, they charged you with it. Now I'm going to have to go ahead and prosecute you for it." So yeah, prosecutors, the legal system in this country is completely insane. Completely insane. But We allowed it to happen to us, so here we are. An over tortious legal system is bad. One that is completely and utterly corrupt, devoid of ethics or morals. Sorry, baby, that's a bridge too far for me. That is a bridge too fucking far for me. I am not okay with that. They're allowing the wealthiest people among us to do horrible things. Now, as if you're a Christian, there is one group of people, and I'm not talking about Israel or the Jews. There's one group of people that Jesus Christ singled out for you to protect. He literally singled them out to protect. Think about that for a second. Let's see. Who was your best president ever? That's a tough one. Probably Washington, maybe Jefferson. Who's the other guy that only served one term? What was it, 48th or fight? Because that wasn't Cleveland, obviously. It was short name. Started with a B, I think. Reagan. No, I think Reagan was. I think Reagan was probably an okay guy. He was probably a good person. Polk, thank you. It doesn't start with a B, but you're right. 54-40 or fight, Albie. Right on. Yeah, Polk said he'd only do one term. He only did one term, and then he went home and died. And but that one term, holy shit! California, New Mexico, most of Texas, Washington, Oregon. He grabbed it all. He was basically a bulldozer. Oh man, I loved Art Bell. Art Bell, just I remember listening to Art Bell for the first time back in the late '80s, and I was all the way in California, and I could hear his show because it was late at night AM. Man, he had some crazy, crazy people on there. Ed Dames and people like that who were remote viewers, people that had seen all kinds of crazy shit. It was fun. Here's my point. Right now, we are about to collapse financially. That's just a fact. I'm not postulating that may happen someday in the future. We are about to collapse financially. I've been doing this for 35 fucking years, and I know what I'm talking about. Anybody who bought rare coins from me because I'm a numismatist back in 2015 would tell you, no, he doesn't sell silver. Why would he sell silver? I didn't sell silver. Why the fuck would I sell silver? Look, the economy's recovering. You want to buy silver? Call me. I'll find it for you. I'm not doing it though. I'll call some of my old suppliers. I'm sure they've still got it. But wasn't really a big deal. I was heavily in it in 2010, 2011. But by 2016, there's no point. Well, let's do something that's going to make us some money. So here's the issue though. In 2020, when they announced the stimmies, I said, oh shit, this changes everything. They literally put a Band-Aid on the global financial crisis. It required hundreds of stitches and probably dozens of staples to close it correctly. They put not even a butterfly dressing, they put a Band-Aid on it and kicked a can down the road. The people like Timothy Geithner, I hope he burns in hell. These are the people that said, "Don't worry, we've got this." And then Bush, being the staunch free market guy he is, said, "Oh my God, there's going to be blood in the streets. I need $795 billion for Wall Street or else." And the American people paid it because he told us to. And then he left office. And then we got this new guy, hope and change, hope and change. Everything's going to be better now. Hope, change, hope, change. He said, "Well, you know what the last guy did was a start, but I'm not going to try and figure out what happened to make this all go awry because there's no point in looking back over our shoulder." I was there. I watched him say it. So what did we do? We didn't look back over our shoulder and try to point fingers. He said, and I quote, "You can either point fingers or you can grab a mop and help me clean it up." Do you guys remember that? Grab a mop, help me clean this up. Okay. All right, let's do this, brother. Oh, but we're going to need a couple $1 trillion more. I'm sorry, what? The last guy completely, utterly destroyed my belief in a free market because Mr. Free Market Republican dumped almost $1 trillion into Wall Street to save their asses at our expense. What the fuck? Now you come along and, well, okay, you're a Democrat, though. I guess that's what we're supposed to expect from Democrats. But I didn't expect it from a Republican. But guess what? I got it from both. Maybe there's not such a big difference when it comes right down to it. Maybe the big difference is in what they say, but not what they do. So if you're MAGA, if you're woke, if you're a rainbow warrior, transgender, fucking hippie, microbiotic, tofu, chili eating fucking gangster, why don't you shut the fuck up? Why don't you, the MAGA guys who are like, "Hey, Trump's going to fix everything. Did you see the GDP report? 1.4%. Those aren't Democrats that come up with that report. That's not who comes up with that report. That's terrible. That's a terrible report." So apparently, Trump's just another politician. And he's doing what every president does, saying what he's supposed to say. And then hoping the guys that work for him that actually make that shit happen, since presidents don't actually run the economy. And clearly the economy and Wall Street are disconnected because the economy sucks right now. And yet the stock market's going up. So they're clearly disconnected. 15% tariff boost. Good luck. That's going to get completely destroyed. Now, it'll happen for the next 150 days, but you're aware that 15% tariff bump is only good for 150 days. And that the 180 billion or so that he's already taken has to be given back now because it was taken illegally. That's going to be a clusterfuck, and that's going to cost billions in government oversight trying to figure out who the fuck to give the money to. Yeah, this has been a fucking mess. Look, do I think that Trump coming in here like a bull in a china shop and slapping the piss out of some people who were pushing us too far is a good idea? Of course. Of course. Look, man, we're on a playground full of baddies. That's the bottom line. The Chinese don't give a shit about us. Okay? Israel fucking hates us. They want us to go to war with Iran. Why do we want to go to war with Iran? Oh, because they're going to have a nuclear missile. They're going to have a nuclear warhead next week. I've been hearing that since 1982. And if you've been hearing that since 1982, and you're too stupid to realize that you've been hearing that since 1982, that Netanyahu said that they're 3 weeks away from having a nuclear weapon, literally since the 90s. That's the longest 3 fucking weeks I've ever seen. Come on, guys. Why do we want to hit Iran so bad? The Persian Empire. They're not Arabs. They're not Sunnis. Who's attacked us? Sunni Muslims. Okay, but what about the Shia? Never. Okay, but what about 9/11? Shia. Well, what about Iran? No, those were people from Saudi Arabia. 15 of the 19 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia, our buddies. Oh, my buddy, buddy, you my buddy. Make sure he doesn't have a garage door opener in his hand when he calls you his buddy, 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 because it's connected to an IED. I guarantee it. Well, that's the problem. Nukes ain't no joke, and the craziest country I've ever seen in my life is a tiny country with about 8 million people in it, and they stole nukes from us, and now they have them. So, what are they going to do? Well, they do have the Samson option, don't they? And they do have a philosophy that the only way to bring about the savior is to go to war with everyone. Probably didn't know that, did you? Read the Talmud. Well, if anybody uses nukes there, night, we won't need oil. You know what? There are a lot of times where I think that Trump is definitely putting on a show. All of our C 17s in one spot, hundreds of tons of ammunition being moved to a specific area, carrier groups that cost millions of dollars an hour to move around. This is not a show. This is not a show. Now, the question is if the people in Epstein's list are allowed to walk amongst us and to that clearly be above us. Now what? Now what? What do we do? Well, hi, Mary. In Mesa. Soon to be AJ. You're changing your name to AJ? That's kind of a cute name for girls. Just kidding. I know you're moving to Apache Junction, which is no longer just beat up trailers. Same thing we've always done. Yeah, you know, it's funny. I watched Netanyahu say this just the other night, actually. Somebody caught a clip of him saying that, and this is, I swear to God, he walking through an airport, and he says the first time that that Israel went up against Rome, Rome won. But this time it's going to be different. America is Rome. And he kept walking. Wrap your head around that. That's the prime minister of Israel that said that. That is hard to understand. That is really hard to understand. The last time that Israel went up against Rome, Rome won. But not this time. The United States is Rome. And he just kept walking. Why do we give them money? That's a funny thing. If you took the $3.8 billion that we normally give them every year, and then you looked at how much money AIPAC gives to the people in the Senate and the Congress, I'll bet those numbers are pretty close. And it's really interesting because it's almost like a money laundering scheme. Look, I'm going to give our closest ally in the Middle East some financial aid because they need it. Now, we don't have free education in this country. We don't have free medical in this country, but they do. But I know a lot of people think, well, wait a minute. Aren't the Jewish people the ones who invented banks? They were called benchers. They're the ones that Jesus got pissed off at, flipped over their benches at the temple, yelled. Literally, bankers were the only people who could piss Jesus off, and we still use them to this day. That's real smart. But that's not really my point. My point is that these people need this money because they clearly can't count or something. So we give them billions and billions and billions of dollars. I think it's like tens of billions last year because, well, they had to get rid of the Amalekites. So no, Templars started what we refer to as modern banking because they actually came up with the idea of checks. They would give you, you'd give them, let's say you had this much silver, and you gave them your silver, and they gave you a piece of paper with something written in code. It was a code that only another Templar could decipher, and it had your description and what you were carrying. So basically, it was a check. It was a traveler's check, literally. You would take it to wherever you were going. You would present it to another Templar, and he would look at it, and he'd look at you and say, "How many pieces of silver?" And you'd say, "Well, I gave them 20." And then you go, "All right, here's your 20. That's it." So that was the first modern banking. But benchers became known as bankers, and benchers were the people at the temple who sold offerings. And of course, if you wanted to go to heaven, all you had to do was buy an offering. You didn't have to be pious. You didn't have to be good. And according to this 150-year-old Bible that I found, that's my family's Bible, it's in need of a little restoration work. That's the side that's supposed to open right there. But according to this, Matthew Matthew 17:21, which is not in most Bibles anymore. By the way, the Scofield Bible, I know you probably all know this, but the Scofield Bible was paid for by a group of Jewish folks who owned a bunch of printing companies. And they wanted Scofield to explain the Bible, write a Bible, and explain what everything meant. And by the way, we would really appreciate it if you would put in there that in order to be Christian and go to heaven, you really, 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 really have to support the Jews. They're God's chosen people. And if you don't bless them, you'll go to hell. And he said, "How much money you paying me? Yeah, I'll say whatever you want." But anyway, here we are, Matthew 17:21. And look in your Bible. It's not there. Huh. Well, that's weird. What's it tell you to do in 17:21? It says, "Howbeit this kind goeth out, not out, but by prayer and fasting." And what he's saying in that's actually Jesus talking. What he's saying is look, the way to heal yourself is not by going out looking for something outside of yourself, but by prayer and fasting. Now, I understand that when you look behind all of the big corporations in the United States and you see things like enriched wheat, well, but what's wrong with wheat? Well, it's not enriched. Okay, but what's enriched? Well, enriched means we're going to spray something toxic to you on it. No, that's not true. No, it is true. It's called folic acid. Well, why would you put that on everything? Why would you put that in my bread and my cereal and my pasta and everything else? Well, because the Food and Drug Administration said so. What? But wait, is it actually toxic for me? Oh, fuck yeah, it's toxic. Well, who told him to do that? Lawyers. Well, who are all the lawyers in this country? Don't know. But what about vegetable oil? Ooh, that's got to be good for you, right? No, it's insanely toxic. Okay, well, who said they could put that in my food? The FDA, run by lawyers. Oh, glyphosates. That's a good one. That'll kill pretty much anything. But before we even get to glyphosates, let's talk about this. High fructose corn syrup. What? What is that? Oh, I don't know, but it'll kill any fungus that you put on it. Yeah, put it in a petri dish and see if anything grows in it. Nothing will, because it's so fucking toxic. Well, wait, how'd they get that? Why'd they put that in my food? Well, because it's cheaper than sugar. So what they did was to save just a penny per can. All the major soft drink companies went in 1979. They switched over from sugar to high fructose corn syrup. And what was the result? Well, I'm glad you guys asked me that because, strangely enough, and this is total quinky dink, obviously, this has nothing to do with switching it over. Between 1979 and 1980, Diabetes in this country went up by 65%. But obesity only went up by 60%. So there's probably no correlation whatsoever, right, folks? I want you guys to do me a favor. This is really important to me. I want you to call the food that you stuff into your faces that you fucking know is toxic because you can't afford real food, kosher food. Can't afford it because it's so wildly expensive. So if you're going to stuff this garbage that the United States government tells us is good for us, clearly it's not. But if they say that it's good for us, at least have the common decency, thank you, Squeaky, to call it what it is. Goy slop. Eat your goy slop and shut the fuck up. They're above us in every measurable way. They can do things to the most innocent among us that none of you will ever be able to get away with. And if you try, you will spend the rest of your lives in prison. And by the way, when you get to prison, you will be beaten. They will do things with broomsticks to you that you can't even imagine. Because there's one group of people in prison that are tortured and horrible things happen to them. And it just so happens to be the same group of people that don't have to listen to any laws in this country anymore. Are you of sound mind? Oh, yes. And I'm not, just so we're clear, I'm not suicidal. What's my opinion on carnivores? Carnivores are good, but vegans are delicious. Thin sliced, medium rare, even tartar. Vegan tartar. That's why I want to move to Portland. Not the Muslims, apparently. Yeah, my opinion of Muslims is actually better, believe it or not, than my opinion of the country who swears that Christ is a false prophet and burning in a lake of shit. That's what it says. I didn't make that up. So Tic Tac, don't try to mess with me here because I didn't make that up, and I don't even have to say allegedly. If you've ever studied the Talmud, even a little bit, it says, and I usually leave this part out, but just so that we're clear, well, thank you, Joe. But just to be clear, the Talmud actually says very specifically that he's burning in a lake of excrement and semen. That's where Christ is, according to the Babylonian Talmud. Now, if you're thinking Babylonian, wait, we're talking about Judaism. Babylon was a long time ago. The latest version of the Talmud, the most updated, the one that's considered the one that everybody goes by, the one that is definitive, is called the Babylonian Talmud. And that is the final Talmud. There is no need for another because that one is the best explanation of what the Torah expects from you. Okay, Joe. That's very funny, but either your IQ is not high enough that you get what I'm saying, or you're just a troll. And if you're just a troll, that's cool. Whatever. Let's see. James Polk made his wife one of his advisors. Astute, or I have no idea. I did not know that about him. We don't need ankle tags. We have cell phones that are glued. Well, yeah. Well, hi. What's up, Catherine? You must avoid trolls. Well, I mean, if I'm on a bridge and there's a troll, well, yeah, I'd stop, say hi, have a cup of coffee, find out what's on their mind. Trolls always have a specific agenda, especially on the internet. They're either way over on this side or they're way over on that side, or sometimes they're right down the middle and they're just being ironic as hell. And if that's the case, I say, ironic on, man. Canada. Who said something about Canada? Hey, did you see the video of Maxwell in Canada recently? What do I think? No, I did not see that. Would make good compost. Now that is just terrible. Thank you. Appreciate that. You are not of sound. You can't hear me? I can turn this up. Joe. Joe, can you hear me? Are you in there? I can't see you. Just having a little fun with Joe. He's trying to troll me. I don't think, as Tweety Bird once said, he don't know me very well, do he? Yes, I know. I know, Joe. I am unwell. But I'm so good at it. That's the problem with being unwell, is that if you're really good at it, you just gotta go. You just gotta let it go, man. Let it fly. Let your freak flag fly. No, that's not Sleepy Joe, because it's after 6 o'clock. Sleepy Joe is all night night. So yeah, bottom line is this. There are people out there. Wait, isn't folic acid B3 or B6? I think it's B6. Because B12 is good. B12 is very good for you. I know that. The guy has Zip for followers. Well, what do you do? Yep, look it up. They think Maxwell has been swapped out. Well, I did see the woman that was supposed to be Maxwell, and I was like, ooh, man, prison's been really hard on her. And then I found out that she was getting her own, sort of gourmet vegan meals because she's vegetarian or vegan or whatever she is. And then she had a puppy because she needed a what do you call it, puppy? Therapy puppy? No. Yeah, I guess that's what they're called, right? Therapy puppy? I don't know. I always had a therapy 12 pack, so whatever. That's why I don't drink anymore. Yeah, so I found out all these things about how she's at a federal camp, and I remember getting my license to become a stockbroker, 1989, and seeing Ivan Boesky, who was a junk bond guy who made $500 million. He had to give 50 back in the way of fines, and he had to serve 18 months in Lompoc federal camp. But I remember watching him walk out, big beard. He walked out for his weekend furlough. Because, when you're one of them, you don't spend the weekend in prison. That's annoying. I mean, really? The weekends too? Come on, Judge. Can we not be civilized here? So Ivan Boesky had stolen and successfully kept about $400+ million. And I watched him walking out of this federal prison camp with his bags packed on his way home for the weekend. And I thought to myself, justice is really interesting. Not too long after that, I saw that the divide between black and white was gone. That was nice because O.J. Simpson, in my opinion, allegedly killed his wife in cold blood. And because he was rich, he got away with it. My doctor prescribed me folic acid. Does that mean I'm not eating enough bad food? That's funny. No, I think folic acid has something to do with hair growth and nail growth. And if you're pregnant, I think it's important. Folic acid's important if you're pregnant. I am not pregnant. This is pasta. This is not a baby. This is my little pasta baby. Made my I made my pasta baby myself. I didn't need what are they called? See, I don't even know what you call the significant other in your life now. Like them, they. It's like your other half, whatever. Yes. Yeah, exactly. My Pillsbury Doughboy. Folic acid helps make blood. Well, then why is it so fucking bad for you? And why is enriched pasta? Now, there's another thing that I saw that I've got to do some homework on. Do you make your own pasta? No, that's the problem. I just go by American Beauty pasta. And then I always do the same thing. You know how you measure out a certain amount of pasta and you go, okay, that's probably enough for tonight. I don't do that. I take the entire bag and I go, oh, you know what? I'll just save some of this and I'll have it for lunch. And I don't. I don't do that. I eat the whole fucking bag. I cook it up. I put some Himalayan salt in the water, a little bit of extra virgin first press olive oil, because that's the kind of guy I am. First press, baby. And then uh, I use some kind of really cool, white. I think it's called white tablecloth, something like that. Anyway, there's like 10 different bottles that you can buy now that are all like about $10 and they're delicious. And then I pour the whole fucking thing on there. And then I put some fresh Parmesan, and the next thing I know, it's gone. The next thing I know, it's gone. And I wake up from my food coma and I go, clearly somebody broke in and finished that, because I didn't eat all that, because that would make me I don't even want to say the word. Even thinking about it just hurts my stomach. I think Catherine's impressed with the amount of pasta I can shove down my face. But you know what? It's not something I'm proud of. And I'm going to change it tomorrow or the next day. Hey, what do you guys think? I was thinking about, because I'm dyslexic. I was thinking about, I know everybody says they're dyslexic. If you've ever had somebody send a very, 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 very large check that was extremely important to your business to the wrong fucking address, even though you've been in your office for over a year, you had them send it to an address that doesn't exist because you literally gave them the wrong address on the phone. That's how dyslexic I am. So it's not funny. I mean, it is funny in retrospect, because I did actually get paid eventually 6 weeks later. Because when the postal service gives it to you, it's usually within a few days, if it's from Iowa or Ohio or wherever it was. But when it goes back, it can take 6 weeks to get back. And then he resent it again to my actual address. Now, again, being in a position where you're telling people how you're going to help them financially and you don't know your own address does kind of make it a little dicey there for a minute. My point is, I thought about having a t-shirt that says "Dyslexics of the World, Untie." Get it? You guys get that? See where I'm going with that? Pasta is loaded with glyphosate. Wait, are you saying that if I eat 300 or 400 pounds of pasta a year, I won't grow to my full height? I won't reach my full potential? Will the new president increase the carry trade? New president? Wait, are you talking about the one that's been in for a year? No. No. But what I do see coming is I do see what are they called? Shit. Oh, you guys are gonna make me do some homework right here, right now, and that's okay. I don't mind. I just want you to have the most up-to-date stuff, and this is very important. Actually, I was gonna do a whole video on this, but let's just handle it. Let's talk about it. Let's do this right now. Boom. And holy moly. Come on, man. Where am I at? Here we go. I got to go with that. And then, okay. Okay, hang on for a second. Okay. The reason I'm doing this is use Chat GPT. No, I needed something that was very specific. A girl mentioned something about SRTs, and I went, SRTs. Yes, I know about SRTs, but the problem is, um, I forgot what the S stands for. Yeah, it's one of those. Okay, so SRTs, SRTs. Um, you guys remember what SRTs stand for? Damn it. They're derivatives, and it's basically a swap, but it's a swap with a loan. It's thank you. Synthetic risk. Synthetic risk transfers. Now, this is the important thing. Synthetic risk transfers means I have a bunch of bad loans. Okay, I'm a bank. I got shit loans. I know that the only way out of this is a bail-in, and I know a bail-in is the kiss of death. For those of you who don't know what bail-ins are, we'll do that one tomorrow night. And that's something that's one of my favorites. It's like everybody who's been on here for a while knows what bail-ins are, and they're fucking terrifying. But synthetic risk transfers means I got a bunch of bad loans. Okay, they're not great, and I'm starting to see the default rates rising. So I come to you guys and I say, hey, you guys are a pension fund. Listen, you want to make a little extra money? I got some loans that they're okay, but I just want some insurance on them. And you go, okay, like what? And I go, look, I got 100 million in loans. Why don't you give me 25 million? 25 million if they go bad. Okay, and if they don't go bad, well, if they don't go bad, then I give you $5 million a year. Oh, okay. Well, $5 million a year on 25. Okay, you know what? Numbers make sense for us. Let's do this. Now, what you don't know is you don't know that these loans, they're not, they're on life support and they're getting worse fast. But the good news is I don't care as much now because as a bank, I just covered 25% of what I know I'm probably going to lose. Now, are all of the loans going to go bad? No, probably not. Will 25% of them go bad? Oh, most assuredly. Will 80% of them go bad? Probably not 80, but you're probably pushing 50 or 60%. Yeah. Okay. So 50 to 60%. So I just covered half my losses. With your pension fund, and by the way, when they go bad, you got to give me that money, which means the pension funds, who, by the way, are ass deep in SRTs, they are ass deep in these SRTs. All of these major banks are up to their ass in SRTs as well. That means when all of this goes bad, it's over for you guys. Subprime loans are on the way for 50-year mortgages. Yeah, unfortunately, 50-year mortgages. Can you imagine that? I mean, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in England, they had 30 or 40 a while back, but this is just completely nuts. That is what caused the financial crisis. Mikey, exactly. Now, here's the thing. This time it's different. In name only. That's the key. They changed the name. Because remember, I was around, I was in it like up to here in 2008. I was screaming from the top of the rooftops in 2008 that the market was about to collapse. And when it did, I went from making a pretty good living to never ever cold calling again. That's what happened because people were like, how the fuck did you know? Because synthetic derivatives are basically just bets spread around. And for those of you who have seen the movie The Big Short, watch it 10 times. Please watch it 10 times. Because there's so many things in there that are made so simple. But a CDS, a credit default swap, initially was a good idea. It was a way of getting insurance on something, and it was not a bad thing. But then a CDS on a CDS, a synthetic derivative on a derivative, well, hold on, wait, now what are we doing? Well, he took out a CDS, a credit default swap, saying that he was on the hook for X amount of money. So he wanted me to cover that. And if I had to cover that, then, hey, I lose. But if this is okay, he's going to pay me a certain amount per year. So I looked at it and I said, it doesn't look like it's that risky to me. So I'm going to go ahead and make that bet. Well, cool. That's a credit default swap. Now I come in, different guy now. I roll in and I go, oh, who the fuck made that bet? And you go, no, that's a good bet. And I go, no, it's not. That guy's going to lose his ass. And you go, oh, you think so? Uh-huh. Well, I'll tell you what. If he loses his ass, I'll pay you X amount. But until then, you have to pay me X amount per year. Oh, okay. Fucking deal's on. Somebody else comes in and says about me, that guy made a shit bet. What was he thinking? And they make a bet on my bet on their bet. Now you understand what? I hope you're sitting down, please. For those of you with a weak heart, lay down. Don't sit down. $700 trillion minimum. Some estimates put it at $845 trillion worldwide. To put that in perspective, the world's GDP is 40 trillion. The amount of dollars in existence, digital or real, like as far as actual physical currency, which is only about 2% now. The other 98% is already digital. But that is about $40 trillion floating around in US currency around the world. We have $700 trillion. Now, keep in mind that 100 trillion is what triggered the 2008 financial crisis. This is fucking insanity. Now, remember though, it's not the same thing, because back then they were called credit default swaps. Now they're called synthetic risk transfers. What is the difference? Nothing. Zero. No difference whatsoever. No fucking difference. And the reason is in 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, nobody did a fucking thing to fix the system. Why? You want to know why? In one word, Epstein. The same people who were running around with Epstein and doing unfucking imaginable things to children on that island and around the world, the same people who laugh because they know deep in their heart of hearts that they are so much fucking better than you, that God put you on this earth to serve them the same way a cow serves them, the same way that a sheep serves them. Those same people, that Epstein class, robbed you fucking blind in 2008. And they're about to do it again. They're about to do it again. And the President of the United States said, and I watched him say it, why can't we just move on from this? We've got so many other things to deal with. Why don't we move on? Why don't we move on? Why don't we move on? Because the people who got us to do this are the same people who are getting ready to get us into a war with Iran that could cost us $1 trillion. Oh, $1 trillion sounds stupid, doesn't it? Well, how many trillions did we spend in Iraq? And how many weapons of mass destruction did they actually have? Because we were told that they had them and they didn't have them. Well, what about Afghanistan? A third world country with a bunch of innocent fucking goat herders. And we spent the longest amount of time of any war in the history of the United States of America. And let me tell you something, folks. When I say the history of the United States of fucking America, we've been at war every fucking year for the last 250 years, except for 7. 7. This country's been at peace for 7 fucking years. And we're about to go back to war again. And who profits? The people who are so much better than us that they get to write their own laws. If I break a law, I have a consequence. If they break a law, then it must not have been a law. It must have just been a suggestion. Or maybe it was a law, but only for the peasants or only for the Goyim. Folks, I'm telling you right now, I'm getting very tired, very, very tired of people who don't represent me telling me that they represent me and then stealing from me and lying to me and using me. I'm getting very tired of that. Now, I understand that even by talking about this, I put myself right in the center of a bullseye. But what else can I do? What else can I do? I joined the Marine Corps because I believed that this country had enemies and that those enemies were dangerous and they needed to be stopped. And I wanted to go and fight for my country. But if we go into Iran, we're not fighting for my country. And nobody believes this bullshit anymore. Oh, well, we better fight them over there. We've got to fight them over here. Really? Really? Okay. Well, here's the thing. Do a little research into counterterrorism, okay? Once you do a little research into counterterrorism and you find out how easy it would be for any of our enemies, whoever they may be, to knock out our power grid, permanently knock out our power grid. And when I say permanently, I mean for more than 365 days, because the DoD, the Department of Defense, which is now the Department of War, at least they got one thing right. They renamed it properly. The Department of War did a study, and this is one of many studies, that showed that in the first 365 days without electricity, the mortality rate in the United States of America will be over 90%. 90%. That means that over 300 million Americans will disappear. 300 million people will perish. Okay? That's a lot of people. That is what it says. How do you take out the power grid? Well, I'm not going to tell you here because God forbid, some nutcase is listening and says, wow, it's really that easy. But suffice to say, the 30 or 40 people could do it very easily, and they don't even really have to be that good. That's the problem. And that's the reason I don't buy Iran's trying to do anything to us. If Iran wanted to hurt us, that's how you hurt us. You don't attack the United States with an airplane. That's idiotic. That leaves evidence. Unless, of course, you tear down the building completely and ship it off to China to be melted. But the reality is that an EMP, which, by the way, a suitcase EMP weapon costs less than $50,000, and 4 or 5 of them could take out the power grid to the entire United States almost permanently. It would take us years to recover, and during those years, we would dwindle down to about 30 million people, at which point anybody could take over the country, including Mexico or Canada. Think about it, folks. So, who exactly is it that we're going to fight this war in Iran for? Could it be the people who are trying to take over huge parts of the Middle East? And they want to neutralize the only power left other than Turkey? And by the way, what happens with Turkey? Do you think that they're going to sit by and watch Israel take over the Greater Israel Project? Do you think that that's going to happen? That Turkey is just going to pretend like it's not happening? Folks, this only ends one way. We either walk away from Israel right now and tell them, look, we love you. It was fun while it lasted. Not really, but it's just not working. And it's not us, it's you. Get some therapy, get some help, but in the meantime, go away and leave us alone. We know that you don't like us. We know that, in fact, you hate us. And you think that our guy is a false prophet. And you spit on us in your country. And just today, all of a sudden, a Christian settlement in the West Bank got lit on fire on accident, apparently, and all the people, all those Christians were pushed out of the village. Oh boy, I wonder who's going to take over those houses. So, folks, I get it. You were raised in a church that was given a false Bible. It was given a piece of shit. It was given a Schofield Bible that was paid for by people who wanted us to believe that we owed them everything. But at this point, I don't hate them, but I owe them nothing. And I certainly don't have any reason whatsoever to hate anyone in Iran. I don't know anyone in Iran. I don't hate anyone in Russia. I don't hate anyone in Ukraine. I don't hate any of these people. But I don't want to fund their war on either side. Right? Wrong? Look, leave me out of it. Once you get all of my schools up and running and universities are free and medical care for all Americans is free and hip hop culture is replaced with a sense of pride in being an American and that your personality is important, but your principles are way more important. Okay, then we can talk about all that other shit. But until our country can stand on its own, no, you cannot help anyone from a position of weakness, only a position of strength. Socialism? No, I don't think that free education is socialism. I think that's called smart because that's the next generation. And when you're old, if this country's crumbling because these kids were completely uneducated, that's not good for you. So, an education all the way up through whatever we all decide 10th grade, 12th grade, 15th grade, I don't care what. But let's make sure that these kids can survive and let's make sure that they're not boomerang kids. Because right now they are. They can't afford to live on their own. And it's not because they're lazy. It's because everything is so insanely expensive now that, look, if you're 25 years old today, what hope do you have? What hope do you have? We could join the military, go fight in Iran, go fight a bunch of people that you don't know over something that you don't understand. You know? I mean, what are we doing? What is this country doing? Look, I get what we don't stand for. It's all we fucking talk about. That's all we talk about is what we don't stand for. We won't stand for this. We won't stand for that. What do we stand for? Oh, freedom. Okay, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I know I'm being watched like a hawk right now on TikTok. Their censorship algorithms are so far up my ass, I can taste them. YouTube is right behind. And if YouTube's not censoring me, I know that every federal agency's watching me because I've said way too many fucking words. Way too many words that put me in a risk category. I guarantee you that I'm on the list. Oh, and by the way, if you have more than 90 days food supply in your house, that makes you a potential domestic terrorist. If you have the Gadsden fucking flag, don't tread on me. If you have that tattooed, or if you have that bumper sticker, you are now on the potentially dangerous domestic terrorism watch list. Look it up. This isn't a joke. Think about this, folks. I actually saw Hillary Clinton say that she thought that out of all of the threats facing America, that the most underappreciated of all of the threats facing the United States of America today were veterans. Are you fucking kidding me? This does not make me a domestic fucking terrorist. Wanting to serve my country, wanting to be a United States Marine does not make me a fucking terrorist. That was supposed to make me John fucking Wayne. That was supposed to make me Audie fucking Murphy. I know he's in the army. But my point is, that was supposed to make me a good guy. And when people say thank you for your service, it feels weird. And I mean that. It feels odd to me. I didn't join because I was going to go to jail. I'd never been in trouble with the law or anything like that. I didn't join because I thought that I was going to be in a street gang if I didn't. I joined the Marine Corps because I thought that they were the baddest motherfuckers in the world, and I wanted to fight bad guys. I wanted to defend my country. I was idealistic as hell. To hear Hillary Clinton say that I was the most underrated danger of domestic terrorism to the United States of America? Why? Why would you say that? Why would you say that to me? Do you not understand what a Marine is, what we do, what we stand for, what we believe? I mean, what the hell? No, not tonight. It's something, the problem is that I think I stand for the thing that the Epstein crowd wants to get away from more than anything else. When you see these fake alpha males, and you know who they are, you see them on there. The guys who pretend to be tough guys, and they tell you what it's like to be a man. Oh, this is what it's like to be a man. You get covered with jailhouse tattoos, and you fucking get what you want by bullying people. Yeah, that's bullshit. That's total bullshit. That's not what being a man is. Being a man doesn't even mean being an alpha. Having been raised by a Navy SEAL who was very alpha, having grown up to become an alpha myself, I know that we're just a pain in the ass most of the time. We don't really serve any purpose. We're kind of like that fucking axe that's behind the glass that says break in case of emergency, and there's a fire hose there. That's literally the best thing. That's the best way to think about us. Because unless there's an emergency, usually an alpha male is just a fucking loudmouth pain in the ass who wants to be in charge of everything. Now, granted, the one good thing about getting a little older is that you realize, and I think this is true of anybody who, not necessarily just like special operations guys, but guys who are in very high stress situations, they are all alphas. But they also have sort of a code of lead, follow, or get the fuck out of the way. there are times I walk in a room in a situation that may be stressful, whatever it is, and I realize that there's nobody in charge and it's a kerfuffle. It's a clusterfuck. At which point, I talk to a few people and figure out that no, this is not just my first impression. This is actually what's going on. Nobody knows what the fuck is up. Okay, well, okay, I guess I'm the leper with the most fingers. I'm in charge. But there are other times where I walk in and I talk to a few people and I see that there's a guy that seems to have a pretty good grasp of what's going on. And I talk to him for a minute and I realize he understands the linguistics of what's going on. Like this is his wheelhouse. At which point I say to him, what can I do? Because he's in charge. Now, the thing that's different about beta males, and it's really sad because everybody makes fun of them, like being a beta male is a bad thing, but without beta males, there wouldn't be any alpha males left. We'd all be dead. And the reason I say that is because the beta males of the world, those are the guys that are team players. Those are the guys that say right from the get go, hey, what can I do to help? They don't want to be in charge. They don't know how to be in charge. They don't give a fuck about being in charge. They just want to know that, like, okay, I'm doing something. Those guys are usually 90% of a team. And those are the guys who get shit done. Unless it has to come, unless it comes down to like, kicking in a door and doing nasty. Those are the guys who get most things done. Those are the guys who, when the shit hits the fan, I'll give you an example. The shit hits the fan and you call in close air support. They made sure that A-10 has all of the rounds it's supposed to have, and that the feed system's working properly, and that those 500 pounders that are under the wings, yeah, they pulled the clips. They're going to go off when they hit the ground, and yes, they're going to save your life indirectly. But because they just keep their head down, nobody notices them. But those betas, those are the fuckers who get it done. And those are the guys that everybody ignores, unfortunately. Now, 150 years ago, those were the guys that everybody admired the most. Period. That's the reality. Oh, John Wayne was real, all right. There were some real John Waynes out there, but they were outliers. And that was not what you wanted to grow up to be. It was a short, brutal lifespan. What you wanted to be was you wanted to be the good guy, the team player who just jumped right in there and helped. Oh, you didn't put the fire out, but yeah, you were on the bucket line. You helped pass the bucket. You didn't walk away even when your arms were aching. So yeah, you did put out the fire. Did you tell people you put out the fire? Fuck no. You would never say that. Well, unfortunately, Patton was Epstein, or Charlie Kirk, I guess you could say, because he had some really very strong opinions about Judaism and about Israel at the end of the war that were very popular, and he died in a single car accident. Look, folks, I don't have 1,000 political assassinations on my Wikipedia page. Hell, I don't even have a Wikipedia page yet. Yeah, I did say yet. Silver on Tuesday. Okay, well, hold on. What time is it? 9:21. Yeah. It's going to be $88. And the reason I can say that with a big shit-eating grin on my face is it's tomorrow already in Europe, and we're trading at about 87.25. Yeah, so when we come back around, are they going to try to knock it down again? Well, it really depends. That really depends. Are we going to get more shitty news from the economy? I mean, this news last week, it was just absolutely. It was like you couldn't. If I said, give me bad news, like the worst news you can give me, you'd say, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to cut the jobs by 1 million. We overestimated. And they go, what the, are you fucking kidding me? That's more than what Biden did. Like Biden did like 800,000 and Trump just crushed him over it. Yeah. Well, we're going to do another million. Holy shit. So the job market sucks. All right. Well, that's weird because GDP is booming. It's like 8%. Just kidding. But it's like 4%. Well, no. Unfortunately, it's not 4%. It's 1.4%. Wait, what? Wait. Hold on. Are you telling me that the United States of America's job market has a million less people than we thought last week, and the GDP numbers are that fucking far off and they're that bad? 1.4%? That's nothing. That's nothing. Wow. This really sucks. Well, I mean, I will say this, buoyant psychopath. If it's real, it's not underground anymore because you just put it on TikTok, which is owned by Peter Thiel, the largest private donor to the Israeli Defense Forces on Earth. $100 million out of his own pocket. Why? Why would you give such a wealthy country that the United States of America already gives billions of dollars to, even though they don't need it? They have free healthcare, free university. I mean, they're just rolling in money, you know. But apparently, we have to give them money. And apparently, guys like Peter Thiel have to give them hundreds of millions of dollars. But, you know, part of that is because most of our police forces are trained by Israelis now. How funny is that Goyim being trained by the people who hate them? Interesting. Titanium, silver, shell is needed to make them. Well, I like that. But here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line. When it comes to the fundamentals, yes, silver. When it comes to the technicals, right now, yes, silver. I'm looking at them right now. Yes, silver. So, do I think that it'll hit 130 right now? No, no, I don't think so. Will it go to 100? Yeah. Will it pull back? Probably a little bit, a little bit. Will it pull back to 65 again? I don't see that. Will it pull back to 80 or 90? Yeah, it could pull back to where it is right now. Okay. So should you buy it now or should you wait a few weeks and see? Well, that's entirely up to you. But what if I'm wrong? What if it doesn't come back down? What if it just keeps going up? And it could. Now, when I say that I think it'll pull back, I'm just watching the technicals right now. And you can't really look that far out on the technicals, but look, just watching, just looking back over 20, let's see, looking back over the last few months, up, down, up, down, up, down. And it's just doing this, but it's up and down, up and down, up and down. And then we have this one huge spike and then it comes back down. And then down, down, down. And then it starts working its way back up again. Okay. Well, I think the Iraqi police are aware that at any moment, standing in a traffic circle, at any moment, for a reason that is completely unbeknownst to you, it's lights out. You don't hear it. You don't know where it came from. You don't know who did it. All you know is that 1 minute you're standing in a traffic circle, directing traffic, and the next minute, hopefully, if you've been good, you're meeting Allah or St. Peter or whoever. Just like that. You're standing out in the open. If you told me, hey, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go to, I don't know, Kirkuk and stand out in the open of a traffic circle for an hour. Fuck you. An hour? No, I'll tell you what. You bet me $1 million and I'll go stand out there for 15 minutes. I'll give you 15 minutes without contacts, okay? Without grandma's head scarf on, without anything. I'll go out there just white boy vanilla guy for 15 minutes. And I will hope that they assume that I must be bait and that there is an Overwatch somewhere nearby looking for the glint of their scope, because that's the only reason I'd survive. Because remember, it's we don't control Iraq anymore. ISIS does. And it's like in Syria. Al-Jilani was the #1 wanted terrorist in the world, but now he's our boy. He's our boy. $25 million, dead or alive. But after he took over the country, it's like, all right, all bets are off. Literally, all bets are off. And somebody got sent over there to sit down with him, and they said, you want to play? And he said, look, I'll play. I didn't take over this country because I want to run this country. I don't give a fuck about this country. I took over because I want to have $12 billion in my account, and I want to have as many underage girls as I can get my fucking hands on at any given moment, anywhere. And they said, you're our man. Good for you. Of course, because of his religion, it's not even illegal. It's actually totally acceptable. So, that's the interesting thing about the Epstein class. If they just wanted to convert, they wouldn't have any problems. However, you have to remember that the Talmud says that it's okay too. Yeah, the same thing that the Muslims are allowed to do, the Jews do. It's in their book. I'm not making that up. I'm not even saying allegedly. I'm saying it says so. It says, what with a minor is, and I quote, nothing. So that's why I think it's so interesting that the people that Epstein gets wrapped up in something like this, they are terrified of being outed. You got the Bill Gates of the world that are terrified of being outed. You got all these people that are terrified of being outed for what they did. But in most countries in the world, like think about this, there are 1.5 billion Christians in the world. There are 1.5 billion Muslims too. And Sharia law is Sharia law. Like that's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And I'm not even judging them. I'm not saying anything bad about their religion. What I'm saying is it's just their religion. You can have a child bride, so what? Fucking get over it. Grow up. That's their attitude. It says in the Talmud that if you do it with a girl under 3, I know you're thinking the same thing I thought. When I saw this for the first time in the Talmud, I was like, that's impossible. You can't even do that. That is physically impossible, other than being fucking gross and insane. But here's the worst part about it. They actually explain that her hymen will grow back. So it's not a big deal. It's literally, this is what they say, it's like a poke in the eye. It may be painful, but they'll get over it. Long term, there's no effect because she'll still be a virgin. What? Like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? And that's who they're covering up for. Your Department of Justice, your FBI, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, all these people that I thought maybe they're going to fix it. They're all outsiders. No, they're not. Outsiders are, by definition, out fucking side. If you manage to get inside, you are now an insider. Now, what was Pam Bondi? A prosecutor. And what did I say? The most soulless human beings in the world are prosecutors because they literally just roll the dice with people's lives. They don't care if you're guilty. It's not about guilt. Can I get a conviction? You've already been charged, man. So look, Now that you're charged, I'm in kind of a fucked up situation because if I let you go, yeah, that's not good. But if I get a conviction, my conviction rate stays up there in the 90s. And it's got to be in the 90s. Why? Well, I want to be county attorney. Well, why do you want to be county attorney? They don't get paid that much more. Well, no, stupid. It doesn't matter about pay. It's the next step to becoming attorney general. Well, attorney general makes what? 135? I will make 3-4 times that this year. Why the fuck would I want that job? Oh, of course. Because it's not what you get paid on the job. Oh, that's right. It's the power and influence that you create by being the attorney general. Wait a minute, attorney general? Isn't that short for governor? And we all know what happens once you're the governor, right, Bill? Come on, Clintonian. Look, you were from a backwards ass little state that had a fucking GDP of 12 and a pretty good sized airstrip that Barry Seal flew into in Mina. It was just CIA. They didn't do anything illegal. Yeah, Clinton was groomed by his husband Hillary. Oh, that's impossible. Look, I guarantee you that whoever wanted to wing the president was going to wing him as a point. That's a fact. Look, there are guys out there. I've watched guys myself that are not professional shooters. They're just former, DevGru guys or whatever. And I've watched them breaking in their favorite pistols. Oh, look, I got a new pistol. I got a this or a that or whatever, whatever their favorite is, HK or whatever. And they're like, hey, look, I'm going to go put some rounds downrange. And I've seen them standing at literally 200-300 meters, no bullshit, shooting something this big with a pistol. And I watched one guy do it. He started at 50 meters. And he was like, man, I love this thing. It's a brand new weapon, whatever it was. I don't even remember. God, what was it? A P9S? No, it might have been. I don't remember. But it was some new toy he had. And he started at 50 meters. 7 of 12, I think, is the name of his YouTube page. And he's got a big old beard, looks like a total hillbilly, but he's not. That's his what I came up with a term. That's his social camouflage. He walked back to about 75 meters. He already paced off 100 meters, and he got all the way back to about 200 meters. Dink, dink, dink. And I'm thinking to myself, this is with open sights on a semi-auto. What could this guy do if he had a Lapua with a really, really good scope? He could drill a dime for you at 200 meters. That's about how far away the shooter was from Trump, theoretically. Could somebody put a bullet through my earlobe at 100 meters? Yeah, they could. They could put one through my eye. They could put one through, just a little piece of my shoulder just to let me know. It's a little love tap. Hey, we can reach out and touch you when we need to. That's the kind of thing that happens. And, guys like Trump, how hard would it be to convert Trump to an Epstein class if he wasn't already? It's real easy. Real easy. Because let me tell you something. The absolute clown show that ensued after he was shot was absolutely pathetic. I have never seen a more pathetic group of individuals try to protect a human being. That was diplomatic protection at its worst. So by the time he got to the hospital and he had heard for maybe the 100th time, you are so lucky to be alive. What do you think he was willing to do to stay that way? Anything. Anything. Well, keep in mind, Mexico's a little different now. Mexico's a little different situation, isn't it? Look, the CJN, let's see, new generation, CJNG. I'll look it up to make sure, but I'm sure it's CJNG. CJNG. Mexico's killing of El Mencho. I don't understand this. I thought that he was in custody. That doesn't make any sense. The Jalisco New Generation Cartel, but X is right, by the way. It's not a cartel. It is an army. There's no question about that. Oh, El Chapo. I'm thinking of El Chapo. Okay. Yeah. Wow. El Mencho. That's going to set off. That's going to set off. There's no chance. There's no chance that this happened on accident. There's no chance that this happened on accident. There's no chance whatsoever that this happened on accident. This was US all the way. This was US all the way. And the reason I say that is because Gloria Steinbaum does not have the power to do that. Okay. One of the stingers that we sold to Ukraine was used to shoot down a police helicopter in, of all places, Puerto Vallarta. You don't kill El Mencho. You don't do it. Unless you want to set off a drug war. Now, here's what I can tell you. If you've ever seen, what's it called? The great movie about the cartels. No, not Man on Fire. It was a good movie, but no, this was about Day of the Soledad was the second one. Oh shit! It's what they call the soldiers. Sicario. Thank you. Sicario may not have been super realistic in a lot of ways, but in one way, it was extremely realistic, and that was the most outlandish of all ways. And that was that it's true that we do choose who gets to be in charge down there, and we do funnel everything. And so when you see something like El Mencho being killed, no, that destabilizes everything. That destabilizes everything. What possible reason would we have for that? Why would we do that? Why would we destabilize something that we have control over right now? And if you don't think we have control over the drug trafficking trade, You're out of your fucking minds. Of course we do. Of course we do. You want to shut down drug trafficking? That's easy. It's so easy that it's almost terrifying. Well, Venezuela, we charge them with narco terrorism. Okay, first of all, there's no such thing. And second of all, that's idiotic because terrorism by definition, and I will actually go ahead and read you the definition. Terrorism by definition is calculated use of violence or threat of violence to instill fear, targeting civilians or property to coerce governments or societies into meeting political, religious, or ideological goals. What exactly was Venezuela trying to influence us to do? Nothing. They're not terrorists. He wasn't a terrorist. He wasn't trying to influence the United States, whether it was ideologically, politically, or religiously, was he? No. So the idea that we're using the word terrorism is stupid. But it was all we needed for a bunch of goy slop eating, poisoned, half-witted, fat, drugged up Americans to go, yeah, bro, he's a terrorist. Yeah, he's a terrorist. Yeah, let's take him out. Dude, did you hear we had a secret weapon and we took him out with? Pass the fries, bro. That's what happened. That's what happened. He offered us everything that we wanted. He said, look, I will stop doing business with Russia, Iran, and China. I will convert my country over to capitalism, and I'll give you everything you want in terms of oil, gold, resources, whatever you want. All I ask is that you let me finish out my term as president. And we said, no. Why? Why would we do that? All I saw was the word Horno, and I thought, Camp Horno, right up in the middle of Camp Pendleton. Follow the money. So, bottom line is, we wanted to destabilize Mexico, and we just did. Now, the question is why? Because Gloria Sheinbaum is exactly what we want in Mexico. And when I say we, Israel. Gloria Sheinbaum, are you fucking kidding me? 75 million Catholics and the woman in charge is Jewish. What are the odds of that? 75 million people whose religious base in the Vatican does not endorse or believe in the state of Israel. And yet the woman running their country is Jewish? Claudia, what did I say? Oh, Gloria, right. Are those your dog tags? Yes. Jobs, are married. No, we are certainly not. We are definitely not married. As a matter of fact, if you read the Talmud, it says some really, really ugly things about Jesus. And of course, if you read the Bible, Jesus said some really ugly things about them. I'd say that we are in a situation where we literally have nothing to say to each other anymore, except maybe good day to you. Of course, the question is, if that's true, then why do we have to give them billions of dollars? Why don't they give us billions of dollars? What does Israel do for us? Well, they protect us from terrorists. Really? Is that what they do? Protect us from terrorists? Sure. That's what happened. So, what do they really do? Nothing. What does Israel do for the United States of America? Nothing. What does the United States of America do for Israel? Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Iran, 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 Syria, Lebanon. Should I go on? Not to mention the trillion or so dollars we've given them over the last 50 years that we could have used to, I don't know, send our own kids to school, maybe. But, if you ask them, it's like, what's the point in educating the Goyim? They're supposed to be slaves. By the way, I did see one of the most important rabbis in Israel say that himself just recently. He said it. He said, we don't realize that we want to be slaves, but we do, and that we'll be happier as slaves. And the sad thing is, as people in this country eat more and more goy slop and they get more and more poisoned, and we have more and more things that we need. These? Yeah, I just pulled them out to say that I am not a domestic terrorist because of them. Katniss. We are cattle. Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing, is that most Americans don't realize that. That's the sad part, I was married to a woman who considered herself very, very Christian. She had no idea. She had no idea. To this day, she has no idea, because if I told her, she'd go, no, 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 no. That's not true. That's not true. Why? Well, because she's been indoctrinated since she was 6 years old. In Sunday school, one of the very first things she learned is that without Israel, you're nothing. You don't go to heaven if you don't bless them. You have to bless Israel. Well, what does that mean? Well, you have to help them. Oh. I'm not sure what didn't exist, but it was probably important, whatever it was. Well, I mean, I can say that I'm not poor. That's I think that covers it. But yeah, the bottom line is, it's definitely something to, like, add it all up. That's what I'm doing. I'm adding it all up. And when you add it all up, it's just really, really ugly. Oh, they're still talking about your dog tags. That's funny. Um, yeah, they don't say anything interesting. Typo positive. Yes, I'm positive. They do say Catholic on them, which is funny. I would say I'm non-denominational, but I was baptized a Catholic because my mom was born in Poland. Actually, it was Germany at the time, but now it's Poland again. So it was during World War II. Well, good night. So yeah, what time is it? Oh yeah, 9:50. All right. I think 2.5 hours is a good live stream. You guys have a great night. I will see you tomorrow for sure. Like I said, if you're a woman and you're wondering how the hell am I going to survive if the grid goes down, I am actually writing a book for you, and I am also writing a book for everyone else that's not a Navy SEAL. If you can't do 1,000 push-ups and 3,000 sit-ups, run 17 miles in 3 minutes, and all that other Jason Bourne shit, great. You're going to need a different plan than the average Navy SEAL gives you, because they're just assuming how to see you on YouTube. Right there, you see that? Big and corn fed, right there. Oh, doink there. Big and corn fed. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. What kind of book? It's literally it's about what to do when the grid goes down, and the grid is going to go down. It's not a matter of if. Period. It will go down. The amount of money being spent on it is minuscule, and that's typical corporations. They're like, okay, wait, how much money do we have to spend on the grid? The government's like, well, you should spend some money, and they're like, okay, should? Huh, fuck yourself. And that's it. They're not spending any money on the grid. They're not hardening the grid. The only person that signed anything about hardening the grid was Trump in his first presidency. And it was a bill that authorized a small amount of money. And I mean, it helped. But what people don't realize is they don't do the math. They don't like, I've actually read this shit. If you guys want to contact me, I will email you all of the PDFs of hundreds and hundreds of pages of the shit that I've read. And what people don't understand is, like, our military, biggest, baddest military in the world, right? 90% of the bases in the United States of America are run on civilian power. When the grid goes down, those bases go dark, period. Now, some of them have some generation ability, but if it's a big EMP or a huge solar flare, the generators won't work because the wiring will be fried. Well, what the fuck? That means we have no military. Well, we might have military at the bottom of the ocean. We might have some Polaris submarines. Well, what the fuck good does that do you in Iowa? No good at all. If you're in LA, do you know how much water is in Los Angeles naturally? None. It's a desert. You are at the southwest end of the Mojave Desert, folks. You're fucked. So unless you're up at Big Bear or Lake Arrowhead, don't plan on drinking any water for a year or so. Yeah, people don't realize what's about to happen, but you know, we're coming to the end of the solar maxim, which is great. Unfortunately, we're also starting to learn that some of the largest flares and some of the largest solar disruptions come at the end as we're going into a solar minimum. We'll be in the solar minimum for a few years, and then when we're out of that, we will be in another solar maximum that I really don't believe we're coming out of. We may not even make it to that one, and that's the truth, you know? Absolutely. I love your thinking, Papa. Well, I'll have pre-sales pretty soon, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want to make sure that I've got most of it finished. I worked on it all weekend. Worked on it with another author, and we were just hammering out stuff, changing the way we say certain things. I'm a little bit too direct when it comes to certain things. You know, my attitude is, look, go downstairs into your own like mental basement, find that fucking monster that you've been trying to control your entire life, and be prepared to let him off the leash, because it's going to get primal out there and you're going to need that. And, you know, if you're a single woman, it's going to be way more dangerous for you. If you're a single woman who has children and you don't prepare, then you are literally signing a death warrant for your entire family. You are killing your children by being stupid. And there is no excuse for that. None. If you just heard what I just said, there's no excuse anymore. The grid will go down. Look, just do the minimum amount of homework and you'll figure out that, holy shit, this guy knows what he's talking about. Yeah. One of the things I did in the Marine Corps was NBC, nuclear, biological, and chemical. Well, one of the things they trained us about was EMPs. Now, since then, for the last 12 years, I've been studying solar science. I've been watching the space weather every fucking day. I've been learning about micronovas and what's the difference between an X1 solar flare and an X40. What exactly happened during the Carrington event of 1859, and what would those consequences be today? Things like that. And I can tell you right now that if you're not prepared, if you don't have, you see that rice? I've got bags and bags of Mahatma rice. I'm going to throw it away, or actually I'll give it away, but I'm going to give it to a food bank and get the other stuff, this stuff. And the reason I will is because the Mahatma, unfortunately, is enriched. And enriched means it's got a bunch of crap in it. Well, guess what? I don't want to eat a bunch of crap. So I'm just going to go with better rice. The royal rice is just rice. It's not been enriched, which means poisoned. So the telegraph system failed, which no big deal, right? Well, guess what? Instead of little tiny telegraph wires, now we have huge 750 kilovolt lines that run all around the country. And when they get superheated, they're going to melt. What happens when molten copper falls onto the ground? Well, nothing. unless, of course, it falls into dry brush, and then you have fires. Well, where would those forest fires be? Well, I don't know. Where are there fucking plants in the United States? Pretty much everywhere. Anywhere there are dry plants or mildly dry plants, you're going to have forest fires and grassland fires everywhere. Well, you better make sure you've got enough water. Oh yeah, that's right. You'll have no water either, unless you live next to a lake or a stream or a river, or, well, you guys can't see it, but I'll just move it right there. See that barrel? And you guys on YouTube can see that barrel. That barrel is only 55 gallons, but I have several of them. And I will have another 300 gallon. And the reason I'm doing this is not because I want to stay here forever. But what I want to do is I want to live long enough that when I do decide to leave, because I'm at the very north end of Phoenix and the mountains are just above me, when I finally do decide it's time to leave, when, say, oh, I don't know, 80% of people are gone, and I hate to say it, if it's the summertime, it will be unlike anything that you can imagine. Period. If you've never been around, how do I say this without getting censored? If you haven't been around people who have expired a long time ago and you don't know that smell, the entire city is going to smell like that, whatever city you're in, but especially a place like Phoenix in the summertime. Well, thank you, David. I think I already did. You almost don't want to make it through that. Oh no. I have a son who just turned 13. I have a daughter who's 20, another one who's 22, and another one who's 30 who just got married. I'm fucking making it through, and so are they. Period. End of story. You're dead unless you're not. That's it. If you think you're dead, you're dead. Period. This isn't a game. This isn't going to be one of those, oh, I better hit the reset button. Damn, I screwed it. No. Do it right the first time because you don't get a second time. That's it. So my point is that if it happens in a place like Phoenix in the summertime, the amount of deaths will skyrocket overnight, literally. What kind of water? Oh, tap water. I know it sounds horrible, but the reality is, I live in the woods on Lake Michigan. Well, then you have zero to worry about, Bigfoot. Nothing, literally nothing to worry about. As long as you have, you don't even need a bow and arrow, man. All you need is a fucking fishing pole. Really, you're dialed in. Thanks, appreciate that, Scott. I would say that, the amount of people who aren't going to make it, it's hard to even wrap your head around. But I mean, think about all the old people who need medication, all the people with diabetes. It's a huge amount of people with diabetes who need insulin. They're not going to have insulin after the first few hours. That's it. I live between Baltimore and Washington. Yeah, John, you are not totally, but you might want to have some food saved up because you don't want to go outside for the first couple months. After the first couple months, I think you might be okay. You'd be surprised at how many people can't hunt or fish or anything else. And even if they do get out of the city, it's not looking pretty for them. They're going to survive by going from gas station to gas station and eating candy bars. And that's no way to live. But the reality is that a little bit of preparation, just a little bit of common sense. And if something like this happens, and will it happen tomorrow? I don't think so. No. Could it happen tomorrow? Absolutely. So the question is, do you have cancer? I don't know if you do or not. You don't know if you do or not, unless I just got all my blood work done. I did everything. The colorectal, all that bullshit. So I'm pretty sure I don't have cancer. Could I? Yeah. Would it be smart for me to have health insurance? Yeah. Well, I have a teenage son who, he's 13. Should I have health insurance and life insurance? Yeah, of course. Of course I should. All right. If you live in a city, if you don't live in the country, like the guy who lives up there on Lake Michigan in the woods, if you live in a major metropolitan area and you have children that you love, I'm assuming that you love your children, then the idea of just spending a little bit of money, just a little bit. You see, each one of those bags of rice, each one of those is probably 12 bucks. Each one of those will feed a grown adult for 15 days. Not the best diet, but for 15 bucks for 15 days, that's a pretty good deal. Now, do I have the expensive backpacker food too? Well, yeah, because I can afford it. Why not have some? I get my rice. You can get it anywhere. Walmart, any grocery store. Usually, Walmart, Costco, Sam's Club. They all have big, big things of rice. Now, Mahatma, I just found out, is enriched. I don't like enriched stuff because it means that they sprayed it with folic acid. There's no reason to do that. So, why, Shirley? So the bottom line is Amazon, great. Absolutely Amazon too. So, look, for $100, $100, you could have enough food. And again, what about this? What about these bad boys? Pinto beans. Well, I don't know. Let's do the math, shall we? Let's see. We got 104 servings times 120 calories per serving. So is that 10,000? 10,000 calories? Okay. So this would be 5 days, right? Well, David, you're kind of an idiot, aren't you? The world's not ending. I didn't say the world was ending. What kind of a dipshit thinks about beans if the world's ending? I don't know if you know this or not, but we're riding on that. The world is what we're on. If the world ends, I don't have to get trolled by you anymore. Shit, it didn't happen. Anyway, my point is that no, what I think is going to happen is I think that after studying the grid for years now, and after studying solar science for 12 years now, and after understanding what EMPs, electromagnetic pulse weapons, can do, and how easy it is to knock out the grid, I decided maybe I should teach people how to survive in case that happens. That's not the world ending, by the way. A massive solar flare like the one that we just had in 1859, which, by the way, 10 universities last week, 10 universities released a paper that said that we're way overdue, that they should happen every 100 years. And that one was over 150 years ago. So yeah, we are overdue for a massive solar flare. But don't you worry about that, because guess what? Your smart ass mouth will definitely save you. Just be sarcastic with the people that are pointing guns at you, asking you if you have anything in your fridge or closet or whatever. And I'm sure that they'll roll on the floor laughing their asses off. Idiot. God, why me? Why? Why do I have to suffer dummies? Let's see. Are you going to eat that food raw? No. Are you the same idiot? David, yes. No, you're going to soak it in water for 24 hours, pinhead, because if you cook it, everybody on your block can smell it, and you just made yourself a target. So you're going to soak your rice, and then you're going to eat it. You're going to soak your beans, then you're going to eat them. Now, can you heat up the water first, put them in, and then put a lid on it? Yes, you can do that. Yeah, without making any smells. So, oh, David, so sad. But I do want to say thank you. Thank you for helping me understand the incel movement. You are why they call it involuntary, I suppose. Okay, so pizza time. Yes, not pizza. They will come for your rice, bro. If they know that I have rice, yeah. But how do they like? Well, yeah. If I go out in the driveway and I have like the rice, like Hansel and Gretel, just like a little trail all the way up to my front door, and a little sign. Hey, you marauders, leave me and my rice alone, or I'll call you bad names. I'm going to teach you something now, David. You take it and put it in your teeny little brain. It's called security through obscurity. Remember that. It may save your life someday. Oh, Jesus. Does that mean that I have to go to my grave knowing that I saved David's life? All souls are equal, right? Ugh, God. Anyway, hoard lots of water. Yes. No, I don't think they will. Because guess what? I eat lots of bacon. I don't think I'm kosher, but they are. Anyway, all right, that's enough. I'm going to get kicked off of here. And I haven't gotten kicked off yet, which is a fucking miracle. I've been on here for over almost 3 hours now, and I haven't gotten kicked off. But I did get a couple of restrictions, a couple warnings, a couple of, hey, play nice, don't say things that aren't true, like Israel hates you. Yes, I am coming back tomorrow night. So, David, you need to come back tomorrow night too, because I'm not done educating you. 200 here. Oh. Well, you missed a little bit of my live. I've only been on for 3 hours. But tomorrow night, I'll be on for 3 hours. 7 o'clock. Well, 7 o'clock my time. I'm mountain time because I'm a mountain man. Actually, that's not true. Not with a beard this thin. I'd have to have like a big ass beard to be a mountain man. All right, you guys. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, boom. And then let's click over here. Hey, you guys, thank you for sticking with me on YouTube. I really appreciate it. You guys, you really matter. Way more than those guys on TikTok do. That's a fact.